Secretary Chris Wright has a plan for rare earth and critical minerals, but what's the timeline? This is critical. In an outstanding interview with Larry Kudlow on Fox Business, Secretary Chris Wright covered some of the key points in the upcoming China meetings with President Trump and President Xi. The Energy Secretary Chris Wright discussed the government's efforts to develop and produce rare earth minerals, or what we call critical minerals, because they're not really rare, for various industries. China has strategically dominated the rare earth industry, and here's where we're working to break this. Secretary Scott Bessent just said that China is delaying their enforcement of the rare earth and critical minerals, which is huge win for the Trump administration. But let's go through some of this. And some of the key points, Michael, are we are 2 to 3 years away. Secretary Chris Wright said 24 months. He'd like to get it done in 12, but he says 12. I did not know that we were already processing in California. I didn't think we'd processed anything other than illegal driver licenses and
illegal CDLs.
Oh my goodness. This is a cool story.
No, this really is. And I think this administration led by Chris Wright and Lee Zeldin at the EPA have got a real good handle on this. And I think, no pun intended from the article, this is a critical article on critical minerals relative to the fact that if the goal is to diversify the energy mix, and I think that's a good way to talk about how we're going to have to move forward. I mean, I was just at a conference last week down in Houston. I'm the minerals and non-op firm. And, my job was to sit there and listen to all the speakers. You hear a lot of the same stuff over and over, but that's also an interesting note. When you hear the same thing over and over, you have to take note of that. And every single panelist talked about data centers. And, I know that's an overused term in our business. Oh, we're going to have this huge energy boom from data centers, but it's true. And so the question is, we're either going to have to go through a rapid expansion of our energy infrastructure on the fossil fuel side. We're going to have to build new pipelines. We're going to have to drill new gas wells. And to be honest, a lot of that's not going to happen while these data centers begin to build out. So how are we going to do that? We have to diversify the energy mix, stuff you've been talking about on the the small modular nuclear reactor front, the stuff that Secretary Wright is doing on putting clean coal back into the mix, and diversifying the energy mix is critical. And specifically, if we're going to want to do solar plus storage on some of these data centers to bring down energy costs, because again, that's really the goal of the administration, is to bring down energy costs. I think if you could show them a way to bring down energy costs that they could start doing tomorrow, they would just do it. They wouldn't really care what the source is. And the problem, as you have really dug into on wind, is it doesn't actually lower your energy costs. It just it may look like it's lowering your energy costs because of the tax subsidies and maybe the subsidized electrical dollars that come out of it. But in the long run, it's actually way worse than a lot of your other stuff. So diversifying the energy mix is key. Getting access to these critical minerals are key. And this has been a topic that we've talked about for weeks now. And I'm really glad to see the administration kind of diving into it.
Oh, you bet. We'll have more on that later in the week as more announcements come out as President Trump rolls through. Hey, tomorrow on this same topic, I get to speak with live on our YouTube channel and my X channel with Doomberg. This is pretty cool.
That'll be fun. We love Doomberg.
We love Doomberg on this topic.